These are the two Temari for the Temari Challenge Beginner Stitch Along. We're studying the Kiku Herringbone stitch. This is the one I called a warm-up Temari. It's a simple 8 division, and we've got two 4-petal designs stitched on each side of the ball. We're going to stitch one of them completely and then stitch the other one right on top. This is the challenge ball that is a simple 16 division. This one has 3 different Kiku Herringbone designs. There are 2 of them that are 4 petals, and then there's an 8-petal one around the outside that's stitched right on top. So let's look at this one first. We want to start, leave an open space in the middle. So you can measure out 1 centimeter from the pole and put your pins on every other guideline. And then these are called the inside points. Here, these are the inside points. And we're going to start those there. And then we'll place pins for the outside points, measure up 1.5 centimeters. This was going to give you a little bit of room left over, so what you can do later is you can make a choice. You can either add more rows or you can wrap an obi around the middle here. So for this stitch I like to start, well actually you can start at an inside point or an outside point. For this it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to start at an outside point today. So I brought my thread up just by this pin to the left of it. Okay, and now I'm going to take a stitch at an inside point. So I'm going to stitch on each guideline around the ball and zigzag up and down. And what I'm going to do is I'll have my thread laying across the needle. Let me go ahead and pull that pin out so you can see that. And I've taken a little bitty stitch, wiggle it a little bit. Is it secure? If it's not deep enough in the ball, it's going to wiggle too much. So you know it's secure. Make sure it's perpendicular to the guideline. It's not at an angle. Okay, that's inside point. Now we're going to go down here and stitch at an outside point. Same thing once again. Take a small stitch, have your needle perpendicular to the guideline. We're not pulling really tight, we're just letting the thread gently lay on the ball. Okay, now I'm back to where I started. I'll go ahead and take that pin out. So here what I want to do is enter the needle across on the other side of the guideline from where I came up. And to start the second row, I'm going to drop down just a little bit. So this is the one time you can put your needle at an angle because you're going to be starting a second row a little bit lower than the first row. Now here we're going to lay the thread parallel, so it goes just right by that last row, and then we're going to stitch under and around all the stitches that are there. There's only one stitch there now, but as we go along there'll be more and more. Lay the thread parallel. I'm going to open up this point a little bit. And with this one, the outside points you'll need to drop down a little bit. The way to see where to take your stitch is lay it parallel. Where does it cross the guideline? that's where you take your stitch. As I go, I always groom my stitches a little bit. I like to have the guideline in the middle of the petal. And I like to have the rows lying neatly together. Yeah, I've made 2 full trips around the ball. One thing I forgot to mention to you, what you can do is the place where you start the guideline, put a pin on that guideline so you know when you get back to that pin you've made another complete row. So now I've got 2 rows, and once again I'm going to end off the first row, set my needle at an angle to go down. I end off the second row, set the needle at an angle to go down to begin the third row. Same thing as before. So I'm about to run out of thread. What I'm going to do, well, I don't have enough to take that stitch, so let me back up a little bit. I'll rethread my needle and show you how I end off and start new thread. I'm going to add 5 rows on here, so I do need more thread. Okay, so I'm going to lay my stitch for that row. And what I'm going to do is end off. I'm going to go down where I normally would go down, but I'm going to come up an inch or so away from the design. And the way I know where to come to bring, after I thread my needle and come back up again, I look at where I would have come up. Okay, where would I have come up? I should have come up right here if I had enough thread. I don't have enough thread, so anyway, I'll put a pin there. I'm going to end off. And what I'll do is I'll cut this thread off, and when I bring my new thread up, it'll come up right here, and I'll keep stitching around the ball. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep going until you've got 5 rows of this first color, and then we're going to switch to the other guidelines. Add 5 rows of your second color. Go back to your first one, add 1 row, but switch colors. You see how I've got it changed up here? And then go back to the second Kiku Herringbone design and add 1 more row of the other color. So that's how you stitch a Kiku Herringbone. And this is, that had 5 rows, this one has, 10, 11 rows, they're a little bit different. And as you add more and more rows on these, I won't be able to film it, but I just wanted to show you, we're going to layer this, so we're going to be doing 1 row on one Kiku and another row on another Kiku, and as you need more space, open it up by using the eye end of your needle and pushing this down like that. You'll always be needing more space, and you can open up the petals if you need more space, and that will help you with that ball.